Becca and Ben are not here, but I heard from both of them, also some updates. I don't remember if they sent them back to the whole group or, yeah, Ben did. Becca I was texting with, so, cool. So we can just I'll read off their updates during the staff report time. So, all right, call to order you're good for minutes?
I'm good.
All right, call to order at 6:10. Attendance roll call.
Okay, attendance roll call. Dwight Washington.
Here.
Carolyn Horde.
She is camping, so excused. She let me know that.
Okay. Mark Simzak, here. Adam Montry.
Is here.
Kathy Wood.
She is not here. She is at a B meeting, and we'll talk about her later on also.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Joe Benzie.
I'm here.
Leslie Hayden.
He is not, but at 11 this morning, he said he plans to be here, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Tom.
much. Roll call has been complete.
All right, so, approval of the agenda, so I would like to change the agenda to make the approval of minutes just for the May 8th ones that came over, not for the June 12th ones. And then Dwight, you can just send those June 12th ones out for the following meeting, so, get a motion to change the agenda for approval of minutes for only the May 8th, not the June 12th date.
I'll make a motion.
Who was it? Who do
I'll
we got?
second it.
Dwight's made the motion.
Dwight.
Hey Les, how's it going?
I'm sorry for running late.
No, I was late and Dwight was late, so we're all good. We literally just started, so you'll change that to Les here.
Yes.
All right. Unless we just made a change on the agenda to for the approval of the minutes for May 8th. Dwight sent out the May 8th and the March ones instead of the June ones, so we're just gonna approve the May ones and then he'll send out the June ones and we'll do June and July next month.
Okay.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we will amend the agenda for just May 8th approval of minutes. So a motion to approve the minutes from May 8th as submitted by Dwight.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes on May 8th.
All right, and I'll second it.
Les?
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Any disclosure of conflicts of interest? No public, so no public comment. So old business, 5-year rec and non-motorized pathways and trails plan survey. So the survey has been out there. If any of you haven't filled it out, please do so. If you haven't filled it out and feel like coming to the market this week, it's kind of goes into B, but there will be at the market, Williams and Works will be there, similar to how they were at the Summer Solstice Festival, asking people to fill out the survey and engaging with people in that way. So, if you haven't filled it out and you want to come to the market this week, we'd love to have you. And you can fill out your survey and,
I found myself regretting it. Would have liked to have had like a card size thing with the QR code on it to get to that site, because I made a fool of myself for a couple times. I stopped some bikers along Watson Road and, told them about the survey and asked them to go out and fill it out. I have no idea if they were residents or not. They were bikers and that counted to me.
yeah, so,
Well, if they went on the website, it was right on the front page, so hopefully they found it.
yeah. Yeah, so that's moving along. I think after we do this week, or this one, we'll probably get, I'd have to look back. I don't remember if there was a date for when they said they were
Yeah,
gonna
so
kind of
they
look at
asked
it.
me about that shortly after we put it out, so we said that we would keep it open through the end of this weekend, just so that if there are people that come to the market and then they don't take it right away, that they have the weekend to do it.
Yep,
And then after that, they'll begin compiling data that they will send our way.
do we have any idea of how many people have filled it out to date?
Yes, I was actually going to report that.
Oh, perfect.
So as of last week, they had 189 responses, which is over what our goal was. I believe our goal was about 150.
Yep,
So pretty good already.
great.
I'm gonna send out, another Facebook post just to refresh everybody and remind them that they will be at the market. I know Becca sent out, an email blast on Friday, to her market email. And then she'll probably be making another post on Facebook like she usually does, so.
Perfect. And I'll put something out onto there too, and I'll send people that way at the, it should be obvious at the market, but we'll send people that way too. So,
Taylor, when you say that they're gonna close it at the end of the weekend, is there like a hard date, like Monday morning or like Sunday night,
I
or just kinda
believe,
loosely?
I believe we said Saturday,
So the
or
15th?
Sunday, sorry, not
16th?
Saturday, yes, Sunday.
Okay.
My guess is that they probably won't close it until they go into the office on Monday morning.
Okay.
But, yeah, they didn't give me like a specific time or anything.
yeah. Well, it's good to be over our goal already with one more event happening and
Definitely.
kind of a push here and, you know, I think that they, at one point they had said if we had 200, that would be very, very good.
Yeah, so we're really close.
You know, we're close there, so I think with the market and that, we should be able to get to that 200, which would be great, and if we get above and beyond that, even better. Cool. All right, so market anniversary, it's the Becca founded date is the 13th anniversary of the market. We had not, I had thought that Lydia was 1 for the last couple of years, but we talked about it and she was 2, which would make sense with her birth date because there was the new board that came in. She's a 2008, and then
That makes sense.
no, yes, the way the vote, yeah, we sorted it out, she found some initial things, and so it is officially the 13th anniversary of the market. So, we have a cooking demo happening using products from the market, so that'll be great if people come out, and she's gonna post about that again. She's getting a cake or cupcakes, I'm not sure what she decided on.
cake.
Cake, okay. So, and we'll have the whole cooking kitchen out there, which will be great, and I sent her over a list of products that we'll have, so she's gonna start, she's gonna look at that and come by the farm either tomorrow or the next day and pick them up, or I'll drop them here. So that will be great, it should be a good event, it's usually fun, we usually get a little bit bigger showing for the market date. It's also a time when like more stuff's coming in from our end and from Apple Barrel, and so it should be a good event with the survey also. Spark grant update, the only update is it's submitted.
Yay.
And it went in on time. Taylor got it in with at least 9 minutes to spare, so that was.
For the work day anyways.
Yes, in grant, yeah, it wasn't due till midnight,
Yes.
yes. And in grant world, that's a way ahead of
Yes, that's a
schedule,
win.
right? So, so I logged on today just to see if there was any updates. There wasn't. It says submitted.
Yeah.
So I would guess that again it's super competitive. I would guess there's a lot of submissions, and we'll keep checking in, and I'm sure they'll make announcements when things get funded, who they chose for funding. I think the biggest or the best thing would be to get funded. The second best thing is that we now have like budget narrative. We now have like the outline, or more than the outline. We now have some like text written so that if it isn't funded, for other places that we decide. I think that another option for this, if it isn't funded, is the DNR trust fund grants and making it a bigger kind of, I think those are up to 300K, and this was 160-ish. Those have matched, so there's some other legwork we need to do with that, but I think thinking about what Ben was talking with, these two things, which were the pour in place and the kayak launch. I think if we start thinking about the toilet he was talking about down at that the beach area, and a few other things, and sort of thinking about that, corridor larger rather than just the two, Rickard Boat Launch and Wiswasser Park there. So, so I think the worst case scenario is it doesn't get funded, but we have the outlines and good start for another grant application. So.
I'd like to say kudos, great job to get that in and to build that foundation material. I'm kind of surprised there wasn't anything template that you could use to work from, or was there?
I mean, they had like questions,
Yeah.
you know,
Right,
of,
that we had on file, from Bath to be able to draw from?
We really didn't have anything written up prior, it was just the quotes, and then the CIP applications that had been done previously, but that was really all that was actually written in like a format for a grant, so.
And this can be used for other stuff?
Yes.
Good.
definitely.
Great legwork on
Yeah.
that.
And we can access it, I'm assuming we're gonna be able to access it even after it's,
Yeah, usually
the-
they keep stuff in the dashboard.
yeah, so, you know, be able to hop in there and, cause there were real specific questions, how this was, you know, where this funding came from that we had to talk about, but, you know, that'll get pulled out probably for other things, but, yeah, it was not as heavy a lift as as it seemed like it was going to be, so that was good, so. All right, any questions? I guess obviously we'll let everyone know, you know, when we hear about, you know, awards or awardees from that. All right, so on to new business, committee's resignation process, so this is on there, I talked to Kathy over the weekend, and then again this morning, and she is going to resign from, the committee here. The reason is, she is, spending a lot of time with her family, she's also spending some time traveling, and she is also getting, there's a bee organization, what is
Yeah.
COMB? Do you know?
Comb. It's
Center,
Comb.
Center
Yeah,
It
of
meets the
Michigan.
same day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Center of Michigan Beekeeping.
I couldn't, yeah,
It's
I
down
could,
at the pavilion, it used to be at the pavilion, I don't
Yeah.
know if it still is.
so she was saying they haven't really met a whole lot since COVID, and she was involved before, and now the people are, they're back and doing it, and she really wants to be involved in it, and so, so I talked to her some, she asked, she was like, it was a really great email, she sent an email that was basically like, I'm having a dilemma, I really want to do this, but I really want to do this, I've missed 2 meetings, I know that, sort of what's going on, and I just told her that I think she should, you know, if it was gonna be a, you know, here or there, it'd be one thing, if it's in, you know, every month that she can't make it, or in every other month that she can't make it, or something like that, that she should just consider what she wants to do most, and make a decision from there. And then I'm not gonna kick her off the committee for it, that was her question, is she gonna be, you know, kicked off the committee, and I said, you know, definitely not, but she has been on this committee since, I think you are an original?
No, not farm.
You are not a farmer, so Kathy was and Teresa were, so Kathy was an original, so she's been on some form of this committee for 13 years now, so, she definitely did
a long
some
time.
time, yeah. So, so I thought, well, one, we're to let everyone know that we'll have an opening, I don't know that it needs to be filled immediately, and then I wanted to, ask sort of the committee process, so she sent me a letter of resignation, and I just sent her an email back that said, I'm not sure if the process is a letter to the board of trustees, is a letter to Marie, is a letter to, so
Yes, so it's usually a letter to Supervisor Howe,
Okay.
and then if Karen or myself are included on that, that's helpful, just so that we're also aware, for our record-keeping purposes.
Okay.
Especially since we, advertise the vacancies and things like that, so it's helpful if we know at the same time.
yeah, great. So I told her I was gonna ask tonight, so I will get back to her and let her know, and, I think she'll just be able to change the, change who it's addressed to and a couple things in there, and it should be good to go, so I will
Perfect.
follow up with her and make sure it gets over. And then does that have to go to, is that something that's like immediately effective?
Yep, so,
Okay.
if she just wants to put like effective immediately, or, you know,
Yeah.
something to that nature, just saying that she's done now and she doesn't plan on coming to the next meeting. Just so that we know, and then we can make those adjustments,
Okay.
like on the website, and start advertising it,
Okay.
if people want to submit an application.
Perfect.
If any of you know people that wanna do this, I'd highly encourage them
Yeah,
to fill out an application and get it on file. If you
definitely.
get it to Taylor, it'll get to everybody.
So, yeah, if you know anyone, I agree, that's. All right, so that's an easy process, so, great, now we know. Alright, so, annual public recreation event calendar, So I put this on here sort of based on two things, and then I talked to Becca about it today. One was that 2 meetings ago, I think it was 2 meetings ago, Carolyn had said something about like, our committee doesn't necessarily know, like, this starts around this time and runs through this time and registration is around this time, but we still get questions
Sure.
sometimes about that. And so I talked to Becca today, and asked her if she had something like that created, and she said there is an internal one already that you can all see, and she said that she would work on creating one more that would be sort of external facing, and I thought that could go right up on, that would just be the annual calendar. You know, it could be in the calendar format, but it would, I think having a list also that's maybe broken out by month, that's like, hey, registration for
Yeah.
Little Sluggers is this month, because a lot of times, I think you've had it also, people have been like, I wanted to register my kid and now it's closed and I didn't know when it was, and we don't necessarily know. Right, like, it's in the spring/summer, you know, I don't know exactly when all of those events happen. And so I thought, one, for the committee, but two, if it was like right on the recreation page,
Yep.
like, here's our calendar of events.
Yeah, we can do that, for sure.
So she said that would be something that would be pretty easy, but I thought that that would help with, one, the knowing when things are happening, and two, just sort of seeing what is happening, and then seeing if there's gaps. Like we had said, you know, is there something where we wanna do a CPR thing again, or the babysitter thing, and or if so, you know, when does that work best, kind of thing, so.
Well, I think part of that too is building that relationship between the township and the clubs like the Little League. Because the Little League club, when they get to a certain age, it's not a township event.
Right.
And so oftentimes the township doesn't even know who it is that's overseeing those activities.
Yeah.
And so I think that, I mentioned that a couple meetings ago, I think that's one of the things I'd like to see this committee do, is kind of reach out and form those partnerships with the parents that are overseeing these clubs and being the coaches of these teams, and really, you know, maybe invite them to a meeting or something. And just sort of like let the word know out that, hey, we wanna partner with you guys and help promote these clubs and these activities you're doing, and help build your teams and help build your clubs. So I think that's an important piece of that too.
And I understand that there is already an inward-facing calendar that we could see.
So that's, it's through our calendar system, that's for the whole office. So it's mostly in there, one, so that Becca has a visual of what's going on when, and it's also attached to the buildings that it corresponds with, since those are also rental facilities for the township, so that our front office staff knows they can't make a rental on a certain day because yoga is happening at that time or something like that. So that's mostly what it's used for internally, but that should be fairly simple too.
But is that something we can see, or is that just?
Not really,
Okay.
but the external one will look pretty much the same, it'll just be able to be
Okay.
public
I just-
facing.
If there was already one available, I didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Me either, if
electronic,
there was one available.
it's electronic through our email system, so it's kind of generated that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
This is a very strong idea. There should be a listing, and I really like your suggestion of month by month, so people understand what we do in June, what we do in July, and I just think that'd be very helpful.
Definitely.
You know, one idea I'd throw out to this committee, you know, when I was on the farmer's market board, early on, we had a Friends of the Market, like, subcommittee.
Okay.
And I believe they were tasked with kind of like the, you know, the extra stuff, like some of the helping out with the events and organizing volunteers and stuff. I wonder if maybe putting together something like that. I mean, I know we're a committee,
Sure.
but maybe having like a Friends of the Committee where we connect with, like, you know, ask the Bath Soccer Club to maybe appoint a representative, you know, reach out to the baseball, the Little Sluggers, reach out to all the individual groups and just ask them if they'd like to maybe appoint somebody. And maybe we can make it a point to maybe, I don't know, invite them to a meeting, you know, maybe like not every month they have to attend, but maybe ask if they could attend maybe quarterly or whatever.
Yeah.
So just an idea,
No,
throw it out there for.
that's a great idea. What that makes me think of, is something similar that we kind of have on our board agenda, which is items from county, state, federal. So such as if Commissioner Washington is at our meetings, he's able to get up at that time. It's an earlier part of the meeting, so he doesn't have to wait through the whole meeting if he doesn't want to. And he can get up and give kind of an update on what's happening countywide. So we could possibly have something like that on our agenda, that's there for community groups or something like that, if they wanted to come and kind of give an update on things that's happening within their sports club or, you know, something like that. That could be a good idea.
That would help us get control of, or idea of who the stakeholders are and who's invested.
Mm-hmm.
That could be really helpful.
So that sort of goes into the next agenda item, was a sort of a brainstorm of like, if we have future joint committee meetings. That's not necessarily another committee, but I thought if we could generate a list of like, you know, and then we could look out and say like, hey, let's, you know, invite this group in March, or this group in December, or that kind of thing. So, do you wanna start just a list like that, and that could be, you know, first, and this is in no order, like we aren't meeting with them in this order or that, but it could be, you know, the sports clubs.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, we should start working on that list. Number one is who, I don't even know what all's out there and who we, like, but I think we should start doing that legwork.
Yeah, I agree.
Compiling, you know, all the various sports and other recreational activities that are happening too, that may not be sport driven,
Right.
whatever they may be.
Tri-county bike, you know, I mean, that's, tri-county cycling would be one, right? Even that's, I guess that, I mean, that's sports related, but not like baseball
Team
club.
sports, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I really support Dwight's idea of having them come to our meetings that are already scheduled, because we're scheduled to be here.
mhm,
You know, one of the groups we could put on a list, and I'll mention it to them, because I sit with them also, is the Park Lake Advisory Board.
definitely.
It would be very beneficial if they came and we just had a discussion with them.
Yeah,
Just, and there'll be many others we probably wanna do that with also, but.
yeah. That seems like a high you and I think talked, I don't remember if we talked about that at the market there, or that's come up before, that maybe it was after we met with or did the joint meeting with the planning commission, but that Park Lake
That would-
Advisory Board is high on my, I know we're not putting them in an order, but I would put them at the, high on my order of, you know, wanting to do that with.
Well, they're not meeting in July.
Okay,
Yeah, they usually
They-
don't.
What?
I said they usually don't.
Yeah, I know.
that's just a,
So it'd be, I'd have to ask them in September.
okay. It would just be good for us to hear, you know, in general, what they're, not them specific, well, them specifically, but also just what the other committees are doing, how they see us working together, you know, how we can work together, where there's overlap. I think then that makes, you know, things like grant submissions and, you know, it makes it, once we know each other a little better, it makes reaching out and having a phone call or an email conversation, you know, that much kind of more efficient in terms of grant writing when, you know, and support, so that, you know, we all know what's going on. That was one of the things with, you know, the Spark grant, I sort of was like, you know, I wanted to be like, but it was also like, it's gotta get submitted, and, you know, that was definitely on my mind of, you know, wanting, like, all the friends of Park Lake aren't in, you know, a township community, it also feels like, you know, that we should have talked with them more than, I think it was sort of an idea that came together, and it had a submission date, and, you know, lesson learned, especially as we think towards 2024 submission for trust fund, DNR trust fund grant, so.
Do we, in conjunction with the survey, or do we have a plant meeting we'll meet again with the planning commission to discuss those results?
We don't have that formally planned, but, we had discussed doing that again at some point while this process is still happening, cause I think it would be very beneficial. So
Yeah.
possibly when we get those results back, we can look at when it would be a good time to do that again.
Yeah, I like that idea. And do you know, will Williams and Work come here and present, or we'll do a Zoom, or we'll do something?
I believe that's part of their, the budget was for them to come.
And present,
For
we should
that,
definitely make
yeah.
sure that, we do that with the planning commission.
Yeah.
You
And
could-
is
you could
Dan the
invite
chair of the planning commission?
Yes, he is.
Yes, okay.
Dan Hughes.
Great.
You could invite other groups, other partners to that meeting also. It just doesn't have to be the planning commission.
Yeah. So results, survey results. So if we did planning commission and Park Lake Advisory Board, it's- right, I mean, there's.
Yeah.
Does it make sense for, there are multiple people now on the arts committee, correct?
So we still have not met.
Okay, but there are people on it? Enough?
Yes, but we still have never had a quorum, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
I haven't met everybody yet either. So they're kind of in the air, so
okay.
if they.
An invite would not
If they
be,
get going, then sure.
we're just thinking that there, there's the art installation is there, and then as we think about, we were just in Milwaukee and, on the river walk this weekend, and is it like, think about, like, Drew and I were having a conversation about like, all of the art that you can see on the river walk, and
Yeah.
it's like how, so if you start thinking about non-motorized trails, and art is an easy fit. So,
Two other groups I think would be beneficial to form relationships would be the Senior Citizen Center and also our schools.
You might want to add Friends of Park Lake to that group, because that's an independent group. They might appreciate an invite to whoever
Yep.
the survey results.
And I was kind of referring to the just future agenda meetings too, not necessarily the.
okay, yep. So would it make sense to have Park Lake Advisory Board and Friends of Park Lake at the same, I don't know how they function together. Would it make sense to have them be at the same meeting?
I think so. I think there's two different meetings that we're discussing. One's the interpretation of the survey, and then one's just for our upcoming interaction with the communities. So,
Yeah.
since the survey really does kind of look, or the trail does look at Park Lake area, so that they might both have input and value to provide to that, because they are a different group of people.
Yep. So definitely for the future committee meetings, and then, my feeling is, with the survey results, I'm okay to like, more the merrier kind of, I want people to come back after and be like, well, it's a 5-year plan, it's not like we're gonna do this again next year, I'd rather not have something be like, or someone feel like, whether intentionally or unintentionally, feel like they were excluded from the process of, or having input in it or that, so, yeah, I think having Park Lake Advisory Board and Friends of Park Lake at one of our meetings, but then also including Friends of Park Lake in the survey results meeting, makes sense to me. So if we think about you said the schools, so if we think about Bath Community Schools, is there anyone specific that you have in mind? Or,
Again, this is for future committee meetings, and just how can we form better relationships with them, and what sort of recreational needs and sports and recreational needs. They're probably one of the biggest consumers of sports and recreational activities in the township, so it just seems like it'd be valuable to have them part of that dialogue.
Say we maybe reach out to Miss Brown.
Yeah, Becca has a few people that she communicates with pretty regularly over there, so
Okay.
we can check with her and see who exactly those are. I think Miss Brown might be one.
and there'll be a new superintendent, right?
Oh, there is, I didn't know that.
There is going to be, right?
Oh, Parks Legacy?
I think so.
Oh.
I heard something.
That's my understanding. I don't know if that's public, but I guess it is now.
Oh, whoops.
So, yeah, my understanding is there's going to be, but, So that could also be, and if there is, if and or if and when, you know, that could be, person to invite as well. And then making sure, I guess, we have someone, if it's not a superintendent, you know, that there's someone from, you know, all three schools probably, or at least invites that go out to all three schools. Right, so if we think about for either of these, you know, groups to meet within our committees or our meeting time or the survey results meeting, does anyone have any other? So right now we have, you know, the sports clubs for our meetings, we have sports clubs, Park Lake Advisory Board and Friends of Park Lake together, Planning Commission, Bath Community Schools.
How about the library?
And they've been coming and doing stuff at the market pretty regularly, so, yep. And that could, I wonder if that is, I know it's not, they're two separate entities, but that might be a Bath Community Schools and the library. I know that they do a lot of
Yeah, they
kind
they
of
collaborate a
coordinating
lot.
between them. That might be a together.
Is there a separate group that manages the Bath School Memorial?
Yeah, the museum.
So the museum committee,
But they're, yeah, they're a separate group, like the Friends of Park Lake.
yep, yeah, they're separate from the school, official school. Yep, so museum committee,
My apologies, did you bring up Tri-County Bicycle Authority earlier?
I did.
Somewhere at my, did I
Yes.
cross that, when you just said that would be a good one.
Weird.
I know that they do like to ride out here too.
Yeah, I was just thinking that was under the according to sports clubs, you know, how, do we invite like all the sports clubs or, you know, or,
They do that, and they have an interest in Bath too, so I think they'd definitely be interested.
yep. So the official, it's Tri-County Cycling, or Tri-County
Bicycle Authority,
Bicycle Authority.
TC, Tri-County Bicycle Authority, TCBA.
Have you talked with them about our survey by any chance?
They did know about the survey, and in our meetings, they've posted it on Facebook, so they're pushing it.
Okay.
Great.
We see in my travels around, I see a lot of bicyclists, and I'd like to see what their inputs are.
Yeah,
They got the Delmac that they're training for right now, the ride to Mackinac Bridge.
How many times have you done that, Dwight?
I've rode from Lansing to the Mackinac Bridge once, and then I did what they call a 3-day last year. Started at Grayling, and then this year I'm starting at Gaylord and go to the bridge, so
Okay.
this will be my third time.
You do the UP loop?
I didn't get down on that thing. I know that they do that though.
Some people just can't get enough, they gotta do the.
Whole state.
all right, and so we've got a pretty good list here for, you know, 7, and some of them may be combined. So, and then under the sports clubs, that there's multiple ones, so that's kind of for our future ones, and I'd like to, maybe this month, before our next meeting, I'll kind of write out a little bit, and we can revisit, you know, under old business of, and then I think getting those invitations kind of out there to people. And then for the survey results meeting, we have Planning Commission, Park Lake Advisory Boards, Arts Committee, Senior Citizen Center, Friends of Park Lake. Are there other organizations there that,
My only question with this is, are we inviting the full committee of each of these groups to come? I'm just concerned about the size of
The
this room.
auditorium
Yeah.
that we need.
I don't think it's our intent to have them all on the same night, is it?
My understanding was that we could have meetings with some where they get special presentations, and then we'd have like you were saying, like the beginning of the meeting, we might have the soccer group one day and the memorial next time, and so forth and so forth.
But specifically the
Representative.
presentation of the survey results. What was that list again for that?
Friends of Park Lake, Planning Commission, Park Lake Advisory Board, Arts Committee, Senior Citizen Center. I mean, I think I think for that, it would be, I don't know, I mean, again, I would guess I'm more the merrier in that.
It's an open meeting, so everybody can come, but we're giving special invitations to these groups.
Right.
What do you-
So that's 5 on there, and we could, I guess, is there any other groups besides those that we would like to specifically invite? Is there anyone, that's good, so the lists are on the township webpage, right, of the.
Yeah, I can tell you how many people are on each committee, cause I have that stuff memorized.
Yeah, I was more thinking about,
Oh, the list?
what the list is, is there someone that is a glaring omission? That we should have. And I mean, even if there's 6 people on each committee or 7 people, it's still only 40 people, right?
Joe, would the trustees have an interest in it?
The trustees will have a presentation on this proposal also.
They'll have a separate,
Oh, sure.
yeah,
Yep.
So there'll be more than one opportunity for the community to come and
yeah,
see all of this.
yeah,
Plus, we will record it.
right. I just wanna make sure that we aren't that if we're trying, 1, be inclusive, 2, build a habit of having meetings that are intentionally inclusive of other commissions, committees, or advisory boards that we're not. And senior center. Who at the senior center do we,
Well, the Senior Services Advisory Board is a group,
that's, okay.
but if we're talking specifically about the senior center, I technically oversee the senior center, but there is a coordinator for the senior center as well.
So if it's a group, if there's a senior services advisory group, I think that makes sense, that, that's similar to like what we are, right? So I think that makes sense. So do you know who chair, is it
Judy Gardy.
Judy does, okay. And then she would also be for Friends of Park Lake, right?
Yes.
Alright, and then planning is Dan. Park Lake Advisory Board is
Dan Hayes.
Nowadays,
Dan, Hayes.
Yep.
yes.
And Dan, Planning Commission, Dan is
Kramer.
with a K, right? Yep. And then Arts Committee
They don't have a chair. I'm their,
is you.
I'm
Alright,
their staff person.
alright, great. Alright, so maybe once we get a date for that, once we hear back from Humans and Work after this weekend or whenever, it's gonna take them, they'll close it, it's gonna take them a little while, I would think,
Yeah.
to figure out some insights, and then we can send out some invitations. Cool. Alright,
Another sports and recreation club that I'm thinking that's curious is the golf. There's a lot of golf going on here in Bath.
is there a golf, I mean, there's school sport now, but I
Yeah.
don't know that there's a golf, like,
Club.
how there's like soccer, baseball.
Yeah, I don't think there's a club. I
softball,
know
basket-
I know that it's a high school sport.
Yeah.
but-
Okay.
So official clubs that exist outside of Parks and Rec, but with internal to Bath are Bath Soccer Club, there's the baseball, there's the
I believe
softball.
there's softball.
Basketball is Red Cedar,
Mm-hmm.
so there's not there's not like a Bath basketball club.
Right.
Even though there's teams. So soccer, baseball, softball.
There's football or
Fo-
something, yeah.
Is
like
there,
Oh, yep,
oh, the
there's-
flag football before
Yeah.
school,
And
yeah.
then there's like the younger tackle.
Yeah.
Flag and tackle, football. alright. That's a good list to start here. Anyone, if at any point we think of other ones, I mean, we can obviously add them and go from there.
2 more brainstorms. One is music groups. Is that, we don't really have that either, do we? We just have separate different music groups.
Yeah, I don't think there's not like a I mean, there's like the
Okay.
stuff tied to the schools, like the boosters
Yeah,
and
but
those.
there isn't like a community music or anything like that.
Yeah,
And there's no flower garden clubs really either.
I don't think so.
That's what I'm aware of.
All right.
Alright, so moving on, so recreation programming updating, I think Becca, the other thing she had to share with me, was to make sure that we talked about that anniversary market. And then Ben had sent over, let me pull up his email, I think that came to the group.
Yes, it did.
It did, okay, yeah. So he's got CIP applications, we'll be presenting to the planning commission tomorrow night. We've already approved those here and, so that's all he had as an update, was that he'll be doing that tomorrow night.
Yep. And then I have just a quick update. So I'm working on a proposal right now that I will hopefully have to the board during their budgeting process to do a redesign for the website for 2024, which is also going to include online registration and online payments.
Woohoo!
So it's going to be a very hefty project, but
Cool.
it is much needed. And Treasurer Wilson is going to work with me and our financial institution to work on the online payment portion and have all that created on the back end so that it's safe and secure, and goes to the places it needs to go.
Nice,
So,
that's great.
That will be
And it'll
coming.
be a revamp for the
for
townships.
the whole website, there's other things with the website that need to be updated for like records management and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a whole redesign that's gonna be through an actual web developer instead of WordPress.
Cool.
So it should be much needed change.
That's exciting.
Yes,
Yay, online payment and registration.
yes.
Cool,
So more information to come.
excellent. Well, that is great to hear. Thank you.
Are there any updates on the Park Lake Trail? The last I heard, we were kinda sitting around waiting for some things to
Yep,
fall
so
out.
we're still waiting on the drain commissioner to come back to us, with his easement, so that's all in his office right now. I believe he'll have to go to the board of commissioners at some point to get sign off on that, so we're still waiting on that, we haven't heard any update from him. So really until we get that easement in place, we won't be able to move forward with the delineation, cause we don't know where exactly it is until we have the easement, so, waiting on that.
Yep, in the last meeting, we talked about that you and I had talked and were wondering about that, and so we had asked Taylor to like, basically say like, you know, what's sort of the purview of this committee
Yes.
to do where it is right now, and
Yes,
yeah,
and
and that
kind
was
of
the-
to give a recap on that for you, so once we have the easement, then that's gonna be taken back to the board. And then the board is going to, approve, the expenses to move forward with the delineation of the trail with fencing, signage, things like that, so.
So you should understand that the money has been appropriated and will remain part of this year's budget, carried over from last year's budget. But we have to approve all of the expenses as they come through. The board has to approve those.
That was CIP, is it?
Yes, that's a,
50K.
that's a
Started out
CIP.
as a CIP.
Yep,
Okay,
it was roughly, I think it was 49 something, but roughly 50.
okay. And that is mostly set out for, trailhead,
Yep.
is that right?
It was the delineation of the trailhead and then creating the small parking space, for people to park and then walk down to the trailhead.
Cool. And I'm sure we'll hear as soon as the drain commission
Yes.
makes a choice, or does what the drain commission needs to do. So, cool. All right, no public comment, anything from Board of Trustees?
Yes. I'd like to welcome you all to the budget season. It starts in about 3 or 4 weeks. We'll get our first recommendations back on we'll get the CIPs back, and we'll also get ARPA funds recommendations. So if you have any recommendations for addition to the recreational program, you might want to talk to Becca about that, because if they cost money, she will be meeting, as all department heads will be, with her boss to fund those requests. So it's pretty hard to pay for something if it's not budgeted, right?
Yep.
So that's, I'll leave you with that. The other thing is, we've talked about probably one of the strongest features that I think that we need to develop in Bath Township, and that's partnerships with all these different groups. I think just this makes us all a lot stronger if we're working closer together, rather than all being islands or silos or all of those things. And that's all I have.
Cool. The ARPA thing was on I felt like I was forgetting something to put on this agenda, and I couldn't get into my computer because my keyboard is jacked. And that was what it was to add that, so.
We can still talk about it if you want.
Right.
I brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd like to hear from Becca, what, if she has ideas or what,
Well, you see her every week.
right, I'll see her Thursday.
We kind of came up with a list last meeting, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, so if you wanna send that over to me if you could.
I can't, so I don't know what happened. I opened my computer today and like the left half of the keyboard will just like, if I hit it, it like, it's not sticky, but it pops right back up, but it just, you're an IT person, but it just like enters it. And of course, 2 of the keys that are my password to get into it are in that half of the keyboard. And so like I hit it and it just goes, fills like the password. So I've opened it up and I don't know, I just closed it Friday and then I opened it this morning. So I'm gonna clean around the keys, try to pop them off, see if there's something underneath there. And I think that list is,
All right, well, worst case, I can listen to the video again.
okay. Yeah.
You know you're not supposed to pour pop down those keyboards.
Right, yeah.
Really?
It's more tomato fingers than you go inside
Probably.
and then send an email and it's like, dirt and fruit and all that, so. Cool, all right, yeah, and I'll talk to her. I'll see, if I can't get into there, I can look at the video too on here, and I just started up an older computer that started up today, so I can at least access, stuff on Dropbox and other places, so. Cool.
USB port, right?
What's that?
So you got a USB port, right?
Yes, it does, so that's,
Well, I've got an old USB keyboard that you can have if you want it.
so it should be, I think I'm gonna figure out, if worst case scenario is I'll take it to someone and fix whatever keys are not working, but I'm just gonna leave it open and see if it got wet somehow in my backpack over the weekend or what, but, so. Hopefully tomorrow morning it cures itself. That's how it goes, right, IT person?
Something like that.
It all changed when they got artificial intelligence, so.
Yeah. All right, any member comments? No?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Great, motion to adjourn at 6:59, plus a second. Adjourn at 6:59. All right, easy enough tonight.
Commissioners of county thing, just not.
Yep.
Just
Good
send
luck
them out.
with your computer.
Thanks. My guess is